Okay, let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Hi, all. Some regular, Thomas, James, Sam, Ruben. Hey, Emiliano, Daniel. Great to see everyone. All right, so today we have non-farm payroll. You can see that, so for those of you that are new and don't know, that is the monthly number that is very important, and especially this month with everything that's going on with the overall unemployment. And of course, the forecast numbers that we had in the beginning of the week is way off, as we know, especially after yesterday's ADP number. I think just in general, we should know. Again, we have support in the room, so if any questions, feel free to ask. He's willing to answer as well. So the number, you see that it's only 100,000 is way off. The ADP came out at 6 million, and really we had 10 million file. But what I'm thinking too is on top of it, you know how in the beginning when they gave the work order as a 2-week period, and then it increased to, right now a month. End of April. So the people that thought, well, it's only 2 weeks, I'm not going to file right now because it was very busy. The websites, they were crashing and all. And now the people that's thinking, well, it's 2 weeks, so I don't think I need to file. I can go back in 2 weeks. Well, now they're thinking I should file because it may be a month, it could be longer. So then it should increase as time goes on. So they're expecting another at least 20 million. Who knows if not even more, the way things are going at the current moment. The only good news is there is a leveling off in Spain and Italy, but the leveling off is still a high number. So those are the things. But what we do see, though, on the positive note, is after all of this, after all of these news that came out, the market is still rallying. So the market really has not dropped too far below the range we'll take a look in, but the market is hanging pretty strong throughout all of this, right? So anyway, let's go and I will pull up the session guide for any of you that did miss it. I'm not going to go through it at the moment, just so if you need to take a bit of a screenshot on the left-hand side so you know what we're looking at with the squares, circles, different color circles. All of these that you want to keep in your notes, and if you need to go back to it, I believe it's the first recording of this week that we went through what they were in general. So that was just to bring it up again. Okay. All right. Yeah, remember too with the dollar been on it's in a range, but more bullish than anything else. And we did have some, new supplies that formed in the currencies, but we'll go through that. All right, so we'll take a look at the markets, and then what we'll do is as the report comes out, we can revisit them, see what exactly has happened. And all right, so we'll take a quick run through. Not too much has changed in equities. Like I said, we didn't quite get down to the lower demand zones, and so let's just go dive into it. All right, so with the S&P, we know that when we take a look at this picture overall, as we've said many times, there was some trading in between. We've been still in that overall range. The gap, you can see, is also going to be into the overall range. The 25.57, 25.81 gap is going to be narrowing a little bit as prices continue to rise ahead. So one thing so if you take a look, well, let's go first see where the fresh area. The fresh area is really the upper zone at this 25.97, 28.06. So that's really the fresher area that's up on top that has not been hit. You can see this one has been hit. This one also is inside of this overall range. So that's really where the fresher zone is coming out from. But what I want to point out today is All right, so right now, typically what we like to look at is, especially in the futures market, you have an overnight high, overnight low, and once we start to break out of either of those areas, we like to look for some trap plays above and below current price, because a lot of people like to buy above the overnight high and sell below the overnight low. I do think today is a much different scenario, just because it's a time where this is going to all come out before the actual open. So a lot of times you're going to get that volatility before the open comes in an hour and 20 minutes. So the overnight high and low to me on this particular day does not really apply the same as it normally does. Okay. So we still have our demands below. One thing we did skip over yesterday was the area that we had. One thing we did skip over yesterday was the area that we did have from the day before. But, you can see we're right back up there again. But let's go take a look. So this zone is still in play, which is the 2383 to 2360 on the demand zone. And the 30-minute 2267, 2236. This is an overnight level, as you can see, marked with the circle. Did barely touch into it, but that was all the way back down. You can see back down to this area. So that area we also still have. All right. The trap, no, I mean the trap, that is going to be, you can have traps in other times. So if you have an area such as a multiple tested lows, or say they say, well, there's this 2008 low or such, but really prices, they come down to it and then they dip below it, and there's a good demand zone under there. That can also be a trap play too. But this is just for a typical daily type of thing where people like to look for overnight highs and lows. But you got to remember too, you got to know where your supply and demand zones are in terms of, the fresh supply and demand zones above and below current price, because otherwise it doesn't really apply to that, because if there's no good supply above the overnight high, it can very well be either a breakout or above the overnight high. So you still have to know what your play is. Otherwise, that's not going to apply only when there's a good supply or demand above or below current price. All right. All right. So you can see here, we'll also wait on these other the ETFs, the SPYs and Qs, after prices start to maneuver out. And then we'll see if we need to adjust anything on these markets too as well. For right now, basically the same as the .D sessions. NASDAQ's, what is NASDAQ really doing? It's just falling from the 60-minute zone. Remember the first 60-minute zone we say was the third time back? Prices are still falling from that area. Same thing with the Qs. They're still also falling from that 60-minute area. So nothing a whole lot has changed. Okay. All right. So let's see what it's saying. Okay. So anytime you put a time period, make sure you put the time zone you're in. So it just makes it a little bit easier to know, because for me, I know when the time I'm looking at on the East Coast time. But if you're at West Coast Central or something, so it's always easier to do a little bit. So let's take a look at the NASDAQ. All right, so again, you can see the gap is coming right in the middle of all of this too as well, off of, like we said, third time back into this zone. This is where we fell out from. Now, I believe if we do go back a fourth time, it's going to try to head up for this 80.52 to 81.71. So it is lower odds on, I would say, both of these zones coming back up. So the gap you will see is right now at 77.48 to 78.29 right now at the gap. Okay. This is the same zone that we have from the other day. It's held for you a couple of times already. You know, of course, it's always the tough part is you want to ever take it again. If you didn't take it the first time, you're more likely you didn't take it the second time. And that's all still working. So you can see how prices get before a report. The range gets very, very tight. It continues to hold certain levels, and these really are just overnight levels. That S&P 30-minute, this NASDAQ 5-minute, both of them are just overnight levels, and the market is still hanging on to before the report. Down below, you can see yeah, so like I'm saying, you need, if you have certain rules and you're saying, well, it went in too far, I won't take it again. Sometimes with that too is what you'll see is you form something else. I didn't take a look at that, but we can definitely take a look at that too. But let's try to run through this a little bit. So you can see on this demand, right, the 240 demand, we dipped right back into there again. See how we came in? We didn't come in, we didn't get to about halfway through the level. And you can see how we touched it again, we left, and now we touched it again. So this one too will be, if it does come back in, it will be the fourth time in. The difference I would say with this one is it really did not dip too deeply in, as the supply zone did go a little bit further. This one you can see still a little bit less than half way into the zone. So it looks like can be still decent, but you also have this lower overnight zone down below, right at the 72.22 to the 71.10. Dave, you tried to long the NASDAQ yesterday? The supply zones on the NASDAQ was 2 5-minute zones, correct? That was from the, not yesterday, but the day before. I believe we also have, I believe this 30-minute is mixed in with, let me just see, 71, no, the 30-minute may be a little bit lower. 30-minute is slightly lower here. This is also an overnight. So you have two overnights, right? Two overnights. Okay. Right. 71.17 to 70.24. Well, we look at all different markets, and during the day, what we do is we can put it on sometimes, and other times, you know, if we miss it, then that's a different story, you know. But we look at all different positions, all different types of markets. Equities, of course, is always going to be one of the first ones, but then depending on where the opportunity is. Okay. So let's now move on. There's not a whole lot to say. I would say I would leave the, let me just check the Russell. Yeah, nothing too new there. So I would leave that one alone. I would also leave YM alone for now. We don't need to go through all of them before the report. Let's get into the other markets, and then, like I said, we can circle back as we continue on. So let's move into some of the other markets before the report. So with oil, you can see what it's been doing so far is we've had a pretty good rally just off of, I don't want to get too into it. Trump saying things about it, and of course OPEC and the alliances, they would want it. They would want the good things to happen. So you can see right now we have continued to rally. Now remember, this was our original demand zone that really hung in there, and then the news now has taken it even further. You can see how we closed up at 25.18 and now we're up at already 27.08. I believe that was I'm not sure if we're at the previously supply. The only thing that I'm suspicious of on this market is you do need all of them to agree. So far you have a little bit of bickering coming in with Russia and Saudi Arabia. So Russia's saying, maybe I don't want to, and then Saudi Arabia is saying, I'm not doing it if one person's not doing it. And then they originally had Trump saying U.S. doesn't have to. So I don't think it's as clear cut as they're making it, but I do think, if they want to stop oil prices from falling, they're going to have to come to an agreement. So it's going to be a virtual meeting that's going to be on Monday. What I've noticed is usually when they have those meetings on my time, it's typically like 4 a.m. in the morning on my time. So you need to realize this, if you got in at a good price down at the crude lower demands, you would be pretty safe if you want to try to hang on to it over the weekend. If you're getting him higher up, yeah, just know that there is some sort of risk there coming into Monday morning, early Monday morning, that is. Okay. Let's take a look what has formed though. All right, so let's take a look at this picture of where we're at right now. So you can see we have these two 240-minute zones. And let me just, it was easier to see the numbers here. So you can see down below yesterday we had this 2071 to 2131. Now we also created a 2165, 2234. You can see you're going to have a gap at this area, right? This right now, because we're at 27, we close right around this 25. So we're going to have a gap in this area. And as we come in, if we continue to rally today and we take out this previous supply zone, then it should be still fine then as we move into next week. But you can see if we do close up into this. So this was the 4-hour zone that prices fell from to make that new low. You can see we just touched it and we left the zone. And I think if we sit in here and the news isn't that great on Monday, that can change things. But if we have a pretty good strong rally to continue prices out, then you can see we have a lot of open air up above as we have a gap. So let's go take a look at the areas above current price. On the 60-minute, you can see right as the gap that's coming in up at the 41.85 to 42.75 and up to the 43.42 to 44.68. All right. So that's just things to keep on your, crude when it wants to move. It can move pretty quickly. All right, let's move to gold. Cap is asking the CL tend to fill the gap. Yeah, so if you want to take a look real quick at that. So you can see right here, right? Yesterday. Right? Where did we have trouble at before prices start to break out? Here. The only one it shot through, you can see, is this lower ones because of being so low. Now these, the only part about these, as we can see on the continuous chart, there really isn't anything fresh, even though it looks like you know, on this, let's take a look at this number. This one's coming in at 31.55, 32.70. $31.55, $32.70. So it's right here. Right there. Right, so you can see this whole area of that gap. You know, if we get up there and we really have some good news coming, yeah, you can see now we're getting back up to its daily 50 and daily 200. One thing that's kind of interesting that, oh, it's going to move, but the daily right now is slightly a little bit below this this gap that it needs to fill. But, you know, it is a moving, the price will move on this as prices continue to move as well. But right now you can see that as we get back up to the gap, we are going to be hitting that daily 50. So went very low below the daily 50. Now we're going to come back at the gap right around the daily 50 as well. So that's a good thing to pay attention to as well. Now remember what I said, you know, a lot of people like to you know, sell, you know, they'll buy at the daily 50 before, but then once it breaks below, then they'll sell. Then the people that's stuck with the buying, and if it comes back, and they're looking to dump it again. So, all right, let's go look at gold. I just want to get through these. And I want to do the dollar right before it too. Gold, so we had a nice little rally in gold. What was I looking at? 15-minute demand, I believe. Oh, I didn't have it on this one. It's okay. So you do have a little 15-minute demand right down below here. That's coming in at 1608 to 1604. Above current price, I didn't see anything too great in the supply. I mean, you really got to move to, and then we'll also take after the report, we'll take a look at a couple stocks too. You really got to move to the next week, weekly, or right. You can see where we're at. Right, the next real fresh area is still a little bit higher at 1705. All right, let's look at the dollar real quick. So I'm just speeding a little bit just so dollar looks like this. Let me go back to the other page. All right, here we go back to the dollar. So dollar looks like this at the current moment, which is kind of telling me that prices can move in both directions right now. And as long as it wants a little, oh, it might be waiting for this one. I might have too long of a pending date on this one. Let me just see. This one might be the problem. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes when you gotta go way back and then you realize, okay, now I just killed my loading data. And of course, it's always, well, one thing I do want to say while we're waiting for this is you definitely don't want to do your analysis, prepare for your analysis, you know, 2 minutes before report. That never, you know, works out too well. But because this is something that typically happens. So we've rallied from our dollar demand. We've continued to rally. We are hitting this area right now. You can see it's been more dollar bullish than not, but you can see we are hitting this before the report. So that's always a little, you know, because if anything going to turn anything, it's going to be a report. So we are hitting that at the current moment. We do, though, you can see, so since we've hit our lower demand at the 180 zone, we did form this zone, and you can see we've moved out. Now we've also had this opposing zone too. So unless the report really knocks out these closer areas, that's what we have pretty close to current price. I didn't see something really close inside of the euro. The euro really actually doesn't. That's the only thing I'm suspicious of, really having too great of dollar supply, because the euro doesn't look like it has too great a demand. The only thing I saw is possibly the Swissy, where we're sitting at this area on the 240, but it has a very close area of supply too, and also has a newly formed supply as well. Let's go see the yen. Okay, so the yen. So the yen can be a little tricky today because you got both the dollar and the stock market. So which one's going to win out? So far, the dollar strength is the one that's still taking the yen down, but the yen is kind of holding in. Did we get the report yet? You can see the yen rallying a little bit. Yeah, so the markets would be falling a little bit. So it's not as, the report didn't come out as bad. Is that what it is? Let's see what's going on. Well, the only thing is I can see that's happening is it's just falling from our same supply zones. I don't see anything else too much newer than that. No, nothing too much. Yeah, it doesn't look like, yeah, it doesn't look like it's not something that's too unexpected. It's actually a little bit better than, you know, than they weren't too sure what the real doom and gloom was, but like I said, I think it's all kind of baked in, and you had so much stimulus that went with it. Let's see what the dollar's doing. Let's go back and see. Dollar's probably rallying a bit. Is it? Dollar's probably rallying. Let me see the euro. A little bit, slightly. Euro too, you can see has formed some more supply. If this continues to fall, you're going to see that this will be a new supply too as well. I put this upper area on the euro. You can see that's coming in at 1.0939 to 1.9086. Okay, yeah, so that's all that's really happened. The dollar's just continuing to hold its strength. Euros continue to fall a little bit. All right. Okay. Let's move into, so what I want to do with this is, let me just take a look at what's going on. Anything with oil still rallying right now. GC is still rallying. The bonds, let's take a look at the bonds. The bonds you can see have done nothing. I thought maybe the report can try to take it out, but you can just see the bond is just traveling from 180 supply to 240 demand. So the bonds to me has done nothing. So I don't know, it's kind of a not much report that happened. Though it could be a much bigger impact, but it really hasn't been at all. Yeah, nothing's really moved. Okay, so let's do this. I have a few stocks, so what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to check where prices are with the stocks, and then we'll go back and see. Just doesn't look like there's a whole lot of new to do inside the futures right now. We'll check the currencies a little bit. Let's see the currencies a little bit. Dollar, Swissy. How come that has barely moved too? It's up into this overall zone. That's barely moved as well. Looks like to me the dollar's just gaining some strength. Pound, not even close to its lower zone there. Yeah, I'm just taking a little look around here. Okay. The Aussie, let me see the Aussie. Oh, Aussie came pretty, let's see. Oh, we had these 15-minute zones. That's barely moving too. So we had these like 3 15-minute zones on top of each other. Got pretty close to there, but looks like it's just very quiet too as well. All right. Let's now go and take a look at a couple of stocks and we'll see where prices are with it. All right, so right now we're at 74.50. $74.50. Oh, that was. All right, so you can see, looks like we're going to be opening up in here, or pretty close to it. So you can see prices have rallied off of the lows, and looks like we should be opening up right into this 74, close to the 74.01 to 72.74. Right. The other one I want to take a look at is Apple. The ABBV. Well, I'm looking at it for if we get an index. So what I would look at with that one is if we continue to hold these markets in the broad market, I believe that we can continue in some of the stocks that have rallied too as well, right? So some of these, if these continue like the S&P and the Nasdaq try to hold and continue to move up, that can be an area where you could try to get in to try to take it up a little bit higher as well, right? As long as, yeah, that's what I'm looking at with that. Oh, Apple. Apple's actually down. Yeah, Apple's already coming off a 240 zone, I believe, so maybe we'll leave that one alone for now. That's interesting to watch. So you may want to keep an eye out on this if this really impacts the Nasdaq. It has a little bit of demand down below, you can see, inside of this pocket here. But it's a good one to watch if we're going to get some weakness into the Nasdaq. Sometimes this can try to fall first if this is going to be an issue. So that should be one to watch if you're going to do that. Let's take a look at BABA. All right, so you can see in this market. Wait, let me just see here. Okay, everybody's kind of the same. All right, so this one I have, let's go to the 60-minute demand. It's at 188.45. 188.45. All right, let's go and take a look. Down here. Okay. So I have the lower zone down below. So that's okay. It's at 188.45. So it's still above this overall zone. We did go pretty deep into it. The only thing I would look at too with this one is, let's see, 188.45. So you can see it could possibly try to form another area here. So that's one thing I would watch out for if we get a market rally. So this would be a blue circle. You're going to watch for this if it can form a new area to take you back up. Okay, and otherwise you can see there's a gap that needs to be filled below. That's a 176.93, 173.80. Let's go take a look at Cisco. $39.53. Oh, I just do that so, like you said, like I know. So what happens is, so on this, why am I switching back and forth here? Typically, I like to have, if I'm doing the stocks, that's why it's on this page, where I want to know where it's opening pre-market, because, you know, what if you, you know, do have a really close zone and prices are below that pre-market. Well, you don't want to be taking that zone because pre-market it went through it, so that means it shouldn't qualify for a zone anymore, right? So that's why I always want to make sure, because sometimes what will happen is it'll be below it pre-market, then all of a sudden when it opens up, it's still there. It can work, but it's not ideal to do, just because if the level was that strong, it wouldn't have gone below it. So that's not ideal what you want. So you can always set it yourself just by formatting the symbol and then going to the 24-hour instead of the regular session, just so you know where prices are posting pre-market. Then I just make it a different candle myself, just so I know that it's different, so I don't confuse it with the regular session. Now you'll customize your, you know, you'll customize your charts according to, you know, whatever's easier for you to see. Now I remember too when I first started, there was a lot of indicators all over the place, right? So you can imagine. So this, you can see how clean it is, and so of course when you're new, you say, well, I need some guidance, and I can't look at a blank chart because I don't understand the blank chart. But you can see when it is clean, that's where you can really find the pure supply and demand. When I first started, it was more like this, right? It's more like this, where you can see how, you know, you add this on the bottom, right? And then all of a sudden your chart gets, it just looks completely different, right? If I take it off, oh, did I not remove? Okay. See, now it looks different than it was all the way up at the top. But you can see when I first started, there was they always teach you a lot of other things. So you get a chart that looks like, you know, you get a chart that looks like this, and then all of a sudden you have a bunch of moving averages on here. Then you have the RSI on the bottom, you know, sometimes CCI. And so now all of a sudden your chart becomes like, you know, it becomes like this. So you can't even see the candles. All you're seeing is you know, indicators all over your chart. So I think what I believe is, if you want to use them, that's fine, but learn learn it on a clean chart, and then if you want to add 1 or 2 on, right, then that's when you do it. Not try to focus on that first, and then you don't really know the true movement of prices, and then it just confuses you. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So yeah, so you can see right here, that's what we're kind of doing with the other chart. We're just seeing where prices were, and now you can see this area. You can see right below current price, and this can be somewhat considered not an ideal trap, but it can be a trap because you can see it's below these two previous lows. So you can see on the 30-minute, the 37.29 to 36.70. Yeah, this other chart here is where you're going to know where prices are. You know, say, that would be equivalent to that, what you're talking about with the Globex. So you can see this is the 54.20 we're sitting at Intel. And let's see, 54.20. So I'm looking at two areas right now. And again, so with these close areas with the NASDAQ, what I would look at is the Qs and the NQ, right? So with this close one, so we're at 54.20. We have this 240 zone right into it, right above it right now. And so for this upper zone, I would go in and look at, all right, so let's see what the NASDAQ is doing. So NASDAQ right now still looks like it's still hanging into the overall area. So I would say that zone right now is still pretty good. The only reason I would say if not is if we open the market and the NASDAQ just dumps for some reason, then that's when I would step back on that closer zone and just say, okay, let me wait. And you can see it too with the Qs, right? The Qs too, let's put that into, let's do it into that pre-market mode. Right, and you can see too, right, this one, it's at 185.38. So see this overnight, that's where prices really come off of, which is off of this area. We've hit it, we've hit it, we've hit it. And you can see now we're still above this overall area. If it should come down and take down, you know, this lower zone, then yeah, you don't want to go in on the higher zones. But as long as we hang up above here and try to move back up again, these upper zones should still be fine. All right, and then we also, of course, have this lower zone, which did barely touch on the 60-minute. That's at 49.80 and 48.08. And some of you that like to do some options, so you can use the supply and demand zones. You don't have to be perfect in your numbers or your entry, but as long as you have a directional, you know, okay, we're at closer to supply, we're closer to demand. You know, for some of you that's doing options too as well. Okay, so that's what I wanted to cover into that area. So as we went on through this week, since the markets are a little bit quiet, let's see. So since the markets are a little bit quiet, as we went on this week, was there anything in particular that anybody thought that, okay, I want to dive into it a little bit more? You know, dollar's just on a move here. So went a little bit deeper into the area, but as you can see, so that too, for those of you that's ever looking, right? So if you have this area here, and you have this area here, that's where you're typically going to have a little bit of a, right, that's where, so some of you that may say, you know, that before taking some supply levels too, and you're not really sure what happens is, you know, you form new demand, prices continue to push prices through, and then you get a little bit of a battle back and forth through there, and then eventually, you know, resumes its merry way there. Okay. All right. So, did you do a lot of back testing when you started out to train your eye? If so, what do you recommend? Back testing. Let me give you a. So you have every different type of person, right? Some people that stays on sim for a very, very long time, or maybe always stay on sim. There's some people that has to do a lot of testing before you actually want to place a trade, and both of those I believe is you know, good, because obviously you'll try to make less mistakes. I was not one of those people. I was a Alicia. I was one of the people that's, I'm just going to go in. So the only time I really did sim was when I first switched to stock to Forex, and I needed to know what a pip was. And so that's the only time I really did sim. Other than that, I never did sim even. And did I start out with small size? No. I mean, even in Forex, you know, at that time, TradeStation just, when I opened it, it was just a lot instead of any other type of micro mini. So I just assumed that that was what you had to trade. And, you know, so I was always, let's just say, a lot more aggressive than not aggressive. And you know, it's in the beginning, it hurts you. Then it actually helps you when you learn. So this is the stages you kind of go in. I kind of picture it like a, if I can find, it's hard to find a good chart that kind of shows you. Well, kind of like that. Well, let's before we get, yeah, let's just say, like, focus on here. Like if you're picking up, like you're trading or so, you know, if you didn't do any sort of back testing, didn't do any sort of sim, you know, you're more than likely you're on this path when you start, right? You're just on this, oh, okay, I'm just losing money. Like I said, it would always be wherever people started to buy, I'd be selling. Wherever people started to sell, I'd be buying. And so your curve was pretty much like that. And that's when you start, you know, throwing in the towel and be like, I gotta learn from somebody, you know, because this is not doing too good. But then you start like leveling off, and you start getting your, okay, I had a good day, I had a bad day, I had a good day, I had a bad day. Oh, I'm doing good. No, boom, there you go, make a new low. Then you're like, oh, now you're all depressed again. You get mad at everybody around you. And then you start, oh, I'm seeing some light again. Nice, very nice, very nice. Oh, wait a second, hold on. No, but I didn't hit the low yet, Beck, so I'm still in the game. I'm still good. Then you say, oh, now I'm rolling now. Now I am the best trader in the whole wide world, and nobody's going to tell me otherwise. Then again, the market humbles you again, because you just start breaking some rules because you're like, you know, I really am the best here. And then all of a sudden the market just humbles you. But then you start putting all these things together, right? Then you're learning more. You're starting to pay attention to your rules. You're starting to realize, listen, you're not the one dictating the market, right? You still got to listen to the market. You still got to follow your risk management rules. And then that's when you start that you start making that switch to the upside. Then you start, chugging along. Well, you still have a little bit of a pullback. You shouldn't have a big one like this, but you'll have something like this, a little bit, but your trend will still mainly be to the upside, right? And as long as you continue to follow your overall rules, you should never see any sort of, move back down like that, because you're on a trend to the upside. So, that, since we're on this chart, I figure let's just use it. Okay, let me try to take this off. Let me just remove it, be easier. Okay, there we go. All right. It is, right? And some of you that's been there for quite some time, that's all true. So let's see how far we've come with this market. Let's see. Yeah, so we're all the way down. And you'll never be, look at this market condition. There's no way anyone's really lived this in terms of, look at what we've gone through. We've made all-time historical highs inside the stock market. Places where we never thought we would be. We've made that. And then at the same time, we've come just down in this virus created situation where we never thought that would happen either. So it's just been a wild ride, which is great volatility for traders, but you just got to make sure you know your risk management well. In this type of situation, you can't put stops extremely tight because the volatility will knock you out. So if you're taking little 5-minute zones and you put them really, really tight, you're going to get knocked out because it's just too high of a volatility. But at the same time, you can't also, let me just, put these, couple of 60 minutes together and just let it, just keep adding on as it goes not in my favor. You still got to be strict with what you're trying to do. But the only thing is, just too tight of an area is not good in this situation either. So you can see where we are on XLE on the monthly. Not surprising with everything that's happened. So like we said with the overall oil market, they're waiting on Monday where OPEC is going to hold that virtual meeting. That virtual meeting is going to dictate now how far this is going to move. They should coordinate together because nobody wants, except for consumers, nobody wants really low prices. So they should coordinate together. But like I said, I'm just hearing from the main three so far, which is the U.S., Russia, and Saudi Arabia. That looks like still the area right now that's still on the gray side where it's not a perfect go. So hopefully, if you're long by Monday, everything works out fine and everything just continues to skyrocket to fill the gap. Yeah, so that's just pay attention early Monday morning. That's all. So right now, let's see where we are currently at. So I'm going to make this one. I'm going to make this one. All right, so I'm going to make this one. So we're at 31.17. So we're at 30.14. Okay. So let's go take a look. So the monthly level is going to be right down into this area here. So this lower gap is going to be where your overall monthly is, right? This whole area here. That's where your monthly is coming off of right now. Now that we've continued to rally, we've had, so if you take a look at it, right, we've had this area form. And like I said, what can change things is just one of them saying no. that can change it just like that. One of them saying, I'm not going, and then the other one saying, well, if he's not going, I'm not going. And there you go. Back comes the oil market. But will I say that people are, you know, the investor seekers, are they really, they want this. It's a cheap price. They want to get in. They want to hang on to it. They want to, you know, make lots of money off of it. So it's definitely areas where, yeah, people are definitely looking at. But like I said, they're still in control at the current moment. So right now you can see, so this is coming off of the monthly. We have formed this level right up above 25.19. 26.30, and then also this bit of a gap area, 27.04 to 28.02. And right now we're actually gapped up even above this area too. So I would watch this area as well if we continue to move beyond, what was it again? 31.18. So we're still very close. So what I would watch with this area is this would be like a blue circle area because we're going to be slightly gapped at the moment. So this would be more of a blue circle area. So if we start to break up above and take out the gap and then move higher, you can see that will be also a new one. Right now, it's, I would say, because it didn't even break up above here, you were better off with the lower demands. Okay. All right. I believe, unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of exciting, not as exciting as we thought, movement. You can see exact. So those of you looking to buy some of the stocks, make sure you pay attention to these equities. If equities can continue to hang on, the only reason why we believe that equities was okay this morning was there was bad news that's been coming out, and so far they've been hanging on fairly well. So the Dow and the Russell, not too much. And then one final look at just how the dollar's doing. That's one. Oh, that is the dollar. Doesn't really look like it moved a whole lot either. Okay, so thought we would have a more exciting day than this, but we do not. Here, I'll bring it up for you guys again so that you have it. But you would go back to the, like so on the left-hand side, so if you need to take a screenshot. If you need the full explanation, go back to, I believe it's the first recording of this session. And I mean the first one of the week. And that will explain to you the whole thing. All right? Okay, excellent, everyone. Well, thanks. Have a great weekend. And, you know, you never know. New things may form today that you can try to take. So you can, you know, be aware and keep a watch on things. All right? All right. See you, everyone, next week.